Bonjour à tous et bienvenue dans Ma vie citoyenne Europe, édition spéciale pour la semaine de lutte contre le racisme et la diversité. Ce soir, je suis avec Magic Magid.
Thank you so much for having us. You are such an inspiration, like to me. Like we are the same age. I look.
You look younger. You look like 20.
Thank you so much. So it makes me think when I see you and we have the same age. I'm like, oh, I could be here too. I could do this. So what's your secret? Can you tell us a little bit about what's your secret and why did you choose to become an MEP?
Do you know, I guess I got involved, whether that be in politics, whether that be on a local level, getting elected as a councillor, or being mayor of my city in the UK, in Sheffield, or an MEP. I think it all comes from a couple of reasons, I guess. One of them was I was tired of complaining, first and foremost. And I couldn't keep on asking the wrong people to do the right thing. And I just realised when I looked at our elected representatives, whether that be on a local level, national level, they didn't reflect the people that they were there to represent. So I kind of was like, well, why isn't there a voice of people from my background, my community, in these rooms, in these institutions? Because this is where all the decisions, a lot of the decisions are made that's going to affect not just myself, my family, my friends, and so many other people, and all across the country and Europe, and for that matter. So I kind of thought, well, how can I get involved? So for me, it was always a case of, if I can at least make my small part of the world, my community, whether that be Sheffield, Europe, just that bit better, that's at least me having a positive contribution to those around me. So I feel like, well, I'm doing something. So that's basically why I got involved in politics. And nobody ever gave me the right. Nobody said, oh, imagine you should be an MEP. No, nobody ever asked me, do I want to be? It was a case of, I just thought, well, listen, if it's not going to be me, I don't think, well, how are we going to get the next young people to do it? Because people always say you need to see it to be it. So for me, it's like, yeah, well, it's fantastic, I'm an MEP, that's all great and everything, but it's what you do with it that counts. So for me, that's why it's really important that I empower and I mentor a lot of young people, and mainly from African diaspora in the UK, to be like, listen, you can also actually get involved in politics. Yes, this is a space that's actually that you should be striving for, that it is for you. Because people like me were never told that you could be politicians. We weren't crafted to hold public offices. And it's not evident only just within my own community, but also within the European Parliament. Just walking around, sometimes people think which MEP do you work for? Or people be like, can you clean my desk and finish eating with it now? Or some people are just complete
really? This happened?
Yeah. It's like people just generally don't, because people have been socially conditioned to expect or think what a politician's meant to look like, or where they're meant to come from, what it's meant to be.
No, you're the coolest. You have the coolest stuff.
So it's, I think it's just really important now more than ever that we actually try and encourage and support as many different people, especially people from African diaspora, involved in the European Union and European Parliament. And it's not even just about in elected roles, it's about looking at the entire infrastructure of the entire institution. Look at who's on the commission, who are the civil servants, who are the policy advisors. All of these people we need to look at as a whole.
Great. So you talked about being seen, being there without feeling apologetic about it. Mm. I wanted to ask, what do you say about protecting the European way of life? Do you feel like your election is protecting the European way of life?
Honestly, for me, I just don't know why they didn't just drop the pretense and say protecting the European way of life from black people, from brown people, and just call it for what it is. Because literally, for me, it was inherently racist because it's the rhetoric of the language of the far right and extremist people use. So for me, it's like, yes, I am, and forever will always be unapologetically myself, because that's why, and because I'm not the easiest thing to do. Honestly, in I was going to say in all my political life, which has only been like till 2016, it's not been like, but ever since I've been in politics, honestly, like the biggest struggle I've had is probably being myself in this environment. Reason being because it's, the easiest thing to do is to conform and just to try and be some of the other people that I feel like people can accept me, or I feel as if to make other people's lives easier, or try to think I'm making my life easier, when in reality, the people I'm trying to please don't give a shit about me anyway. So why am I going to try and conform to that? Because it doesn't work anyway. But one thing I've learned is even the ones that don't like me or fundamentally disagree with my politics, fundamentally they respect me because they're like, listen, at least he's who he is and he stands up for what he believes in. And people always say, like, I always used to get, especially when I was a bit like, Magid, do you know what, like, you know, maybe you should tone it down, you should like, maybe you shouldn't be too political, you shouldn't be like speaking out loud or not. And I'm like, I haven't got the privilege of not being too political. Like someone who's a black African came to the UK as a refugee with so much social issues happening in the UK and Europe, it would be such a disservice if I didn't use my platform to speak out against the injustices. And I try, of course I do everything with the best of intentions, and yeah, it's just, and of course, like, I'll be honest, like, it's me being an MEP is as much of a success about so many other people as it is about me.
I feel like you have so much energy and so much drive that you in this European Parliament, and I talk about myself personally, will shake things up. You and so many of you guys that have been elected make me believe that there's still a way to move forward. And I know today you were part of the panel on the first EU anti-racism, the first EU European Day of Action against Islamophobia and religious intolerance. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So what it's basically, it was great. It was the first time we actually commemorated that. You had a mix of MEPs from all over different political spectrums. Well, I think so. I don't know if every party group was represented, but it was quite mixed. You had different organisations from all across Europe, which was great. And I think it's basically just looking at Islamophobia as a serious issue in Europe and how can we collectively, whether that be politicians, NGOs, and activists, get together to really kind of tackle that. And that it's just the start of something great. So now we're going to look at trying to define what Islamophobia means, how we can actually put that into legislation and make it into an actual act where people acknowledge what it is and we're actually working towards realistic goals. We actually strive to actually make sure that we're trying to eradicate it. Because, like, listen, Islamophobia, antisemitism, racism, they all come from the same root of hate, and we need to make sure that it doesn't. First, and even like, right, you may not be Muslim, you may not affect you, but a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So we need to collectively work together on that. And it was just a start, and hopefully it's going to be like an ongoing program. And if anything as well, it was just a great opportunity for people to network as well. So yeah, no, it was really, really uplifting. It was great to see support from the Commission, from different organisations. Hopefully that momentum will continue.
Great. You said something about political representation, you know, being like, you said, oh, there were like a diversity of political party there. When looking at the diversity in terms of representation, it seems like the Greens got all of the Browns.
Really?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Like within the, like I've calculated in terms of the people from African descent, most of them are within the Green Party.
Wow.
What do you think? There's something to
do you know,
this, or
honestly, I think with the Green Party,
is it easier to get elected?
No. Do you know what is, honestly, with the Green Party is we practice what we preach. Whereas, like, I guess a lot of political parties say, oh, well, we need more equality, we need more diversity, yet they don't back that up. There's not a case of saying, well, right, okay, well, let's try and, like, and give people opportunity, or let's genuinely give people the space to kind of do it. And also, not even that, like, the policies, because people, the Green Party need to give people a reason to join the Green Party. So, for me, it was they had a red line against austerity, sort of a free education, the way the whole party is run. So many different reasons. I genuinely and felt like the Green Party kind of represented my values and principles, and so many other people. And so I think naturally a lot of people of colour, people from Africa, even people from all over, kind of really naturally see themselves aligned with the Green Party because of those values and principles. And I think it's like you can actually, they also, like, the Green Party is supportive, and because I think the Green Party understands for us to have a real equal society, we need to make sure that we've got representation from all across different parts in our decision making. And so when you have naturally got a diverse group of all different layers of the Green Party, of any political party institution, naturally you're going to get more people getting involved. And so I think it's just been a naturally occurring thing.
Great. And I cannot leave you without talking about Brexit.
Yeah.
So what is going on out there? Like today, we hear that the Supreme Court said that it was not
Boris is a liar,
legal.
it was unlawful.
And so what happened? Tomorrow, MEPs are back to work?
Well, this is a crazy thing, right? Britain hasn't got a written constitution. So every time it's like, oh, now what happens? We don't know. So it's like because a lot of things are all based on protocols, traditions, handshake, our democracy keeps on getting stretched and stretched and stretched. And now, that's why things have been having to settle in courts, because we've got truly independent court system, and Supreme Court being the highest, basically just said that Boris Johnson lied to the Queen and the whole prorogation of Parliament was unlawful. But what does that look like?
He lied to the Queen. I mean,
yeah. So think about it. Boris, he's lost in everything. He's lost all his votes in Parliament. He's lost his majority. He's lost 23 of his MPs. This is a guy who's not fit to govern. Like, this person needs to either remove himself or somebody needs to remove him and from being Prime Minister. And it's crazy. The Queen might have to actually sack him because it's Her Majesty's government. And because this is unprecedented. We've not been in this situation before. And I am hopeful if somebody had a gun to my head and say, choose which university, I honestly think we'll remain. In my heart, I think we're going to remain. And I think the longer this continues, the more likely we're going to actually remain. And everyone's going to say we had all that hassle, all that trouble for nothing. Oh,
yes, exactly.
And then probably getting punished for that. But.
So, I mean, this week is the European Anti-Racism and Diversity Week. So let's say in literally 36 days, you gotta go, you know?
I ain't leaving. I'm joking.
So what advice would you give the remaining MEPs here? What advice would you give to the civil society? How do we continue without you and your shiny personality and, outspoken? How do we continue this when we're gonna, leaving means like 7 less?
Do you know what? I'll present it's easy to lose sight of who you work for. And you don't work for the political party, you don't work for the European Parliament, you work for the citizens that elected you to actually come here and actually be here. So I want to say, listen, make sure that you're very well connected with the people on the grassroots level, the people who are actually out there, actually living the day-to-day life, so they feel as if like you are representing them. But not all of that. It's like, you're an MEP, like you got such an amazing platform, so use it, make use of it. Don't feel like, oh, you're just gonna sit on the fence, or you're gonna keep it easy, keep calm. No, literally stand there and say what you believe. Stand up and literally, whether I agree with you or not, you've gotten a platform, so use it. And also be yourself, because people need to see themselves in their politicians. People need to see themselves in other people to actually feel like they are being represented, feel like they can actually go with you. So just never lose track of who you're there to represent.
Great. Thank you so much, Magid.